Newsmaker of the morning on NDTV Profit. We've talked to you about nuclear power coming in, and now we have Manav Chopra in ED Technicals, Nuvama Institutional Equities. Manav, so great to have you in here. Thank you so much for joining in. Was it a long trudge from the top floor to here?
Not at all. I think it's always great to come at your studio. It feels nice and very convenient. I mean, we have to manage that, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, let's start with how you're looking at the markets right now, because we finally hit that, sometimes it's just you need to hit that target, at least to know that you can. So the markets can. It has it in them, and it seemed like a very long 14-month journey to that point. What next in your view?
So I still remain very constructive on the markets. There is no second thought to it. But the factors which are also going to give us some macro tailwinds, which something which is really shaping up well for us. I remain constructive that the markets will continue its trajectory on the upside. The Nifty along with the mid-cap hundreds. But the important part is that within the emerging market as a basket, right, India still remains underweight across the foreign institutions. And if we see the kind of a rally that the KOSPI has seen or Taiwan has seen, which has rallied 70% to 50%, I strongly feel that there will be the traction where the money shifts from those spaces, come back to India, and very difficult for within the emerging markets, India being still underweight with getting to all-time highs. So the traction will definitely flow in back. And we have already seen early bouts of short squeeze which have started to play at all-time highs. So I think something that I was voicing at an early stage, we did see short squeeze, then again come back, but we are climbing a wall of worry. But I strongly feel this will continue on the upside. We still hold with the perspective that we are going higher. Now on the upside, what my thought process would be, it would be a combination of shorts and under ownership which will take the markets higher. So on the sectoral front, very constructive on IT, where there is still reasonable shorts and under ownership, and I'm quite confident for the infra as a pack to do well, which includes your Reliance, which is still under owned in terms of weightage with the institutions, the Larsen, Adani ports. So this pack is going to do very good vis-a-vis the consumption story. But yes, I think the traction remains quite constructive, very positive on the markets.
So what are the targets that you might have? And your report says 27,500 on the upside in the medium term.
Right.
How do you define that?
So my report is already active since September, but from here, obviously 27,500 would be the initial zone that we expect the markets to go from there. Like I mentioned, it will be a pack of IT and infra along with some beta names which will do good. The breadth of the market continuously improves, so there is no second change in that perspective.
Got it. But that's the point. I saw your note, and it seemed to suggest that small cap leadership will be there. Right. The complaint for 2025 is that even if the Nifty is back to all-time highs, portfolios aren't.
Right.
Does that change starting December itself, or is it some time away?
Right. So small cap has been one of a massive underperformer in past many months, right? The kind of base formation or the breadth improvement we've seen into the large caps, into the mid cap 100, slowly, steadily on the bottoms up approach, I'm seeing that kind of an early setups visible. Certain sectors from the small caps which are coming up is like the tire space. We are seeing the crude and the international rubber prices coming up. Auto sector is quite bullish. Like I mentioned about the infra, even the small cap infra stocks are really setting up well. And when we dive down even the BFSI, we see the smaller banks, the Ujjivan, the Citiunion, and there are some traction which have already started to play. But the template going forward would be a bottoms up into the small cap, but the construct still remains quite positive. I think eventually we don't expect a Gaga kind of a rally that we witnessed in 2023-24, where everything the small cap does well. It is going to be little more concentrated, but more bottoms up in small cap. But I think all good for the next few months.
So PSU banks, for example.
Absolutely.
We're very constructive on the PSU banks.
Absolutely.
So what's the trajectory like, and what do you like within that pocket? I'm presuming they are a part of the small cap bucket.
Yes, they are part of my mid cap, but yes, very constructive on the PSU banks. My bigger thoughts have been that the PSU banks will strongly outperform the private banks. I think largely that space has played out.
Yeah.
But going forward, it's going to be a big play which is not going to stop at least for the next at least 6 months from here. Obviously, there might be a bout of pause. It has given a massive alpha, but Within the PSU basket, my stop bet still remains on Canara Bank and PNB. I will not be surprised to see in a very good bull case if these stocks are still 30 to 50% higher from the current level. So I remain very constructive on that space. All the way from 7,000 levels, this index could rally closer to 10,000, 11,000, the PSU index I'm talking about. So if I see a 10-15% upside in the PSU as an index from the current levels, the Can Bank, the PNB still have a strong alpha move from the current zone.
Manav, stay with us, please. You're, of course, in our studios, but we have to get to our regular segment this morning and then come back to you. Definitely. We're all excited about Manav sitting here. Dharmesh, thank you for that. Manav can't quite hear you, but we will convey to him. Okay. So Dharmesh Khan said that the best person to talk about cyclical trades at technical levels is Manav, who's sitting there in the studio. So quite the reputation. No, so, just with you, of course, we look at broader picture, Manav, and we are entering into December almost. I mean, you pretty much finished the month. I think it's time to start talking about the year ahead and a bit of a recap. Would it be safe to say that next year's winners will look a little different from this year? In the sense, maybe you will see small caps making a bit of a comeback, private banks back again. Do you think that's the trend, or you'll see more of the same?
I will definitely agree with one part that the template for the markets have changed. And more so, like I mentioned, I strongly feel infra could be the going theme for the early 2026. A lot also identifies that, the classical, very contrarian thoughts of riding the consumption. I strongly feel that it's going to be infra. A lot of names like a GMR airport, your Adani ports, from a Nifty 50 stock where I'm quite convinced that a 30% upside in a Nifty 50 names where I'm very convinced about. Reliance being an under-owned across the domestic institution is where, any rally, eventually when the FPIs also come in and any move in the markets, one cannot be under-owned certain names, So this is where the infra themes will be taking a lead. We have already seen a strong setup in names like GMR, Hoodco and BHAIL for that matter. I've released multiple strong reports on that. I think this is the space where 2026 will belong, along with certain segment of PSUs. So it's not going to be an easy bull phase until unless you're a stock pickers market. Also, there is a segment where it's going to be certain 4-5 sectors which will do good, and that is going to deliver the best alpha. I am not of an opinion that it's going to be a very strong everything does good where more than 70% stocks are making alpha. I don't think that is the phase, but yes, it will be a slow and rise, gradual move towards 27,500, but certain sectors and pocket remains the key. So infra is going to be one of the bets, which I'm very constructive about.
And couple that, sorry, just one last question. Couple that with real estate. You were constructive, the sector is done well, now kind of plateauing. Can it do more?
So within the infra pack, I think the segment of cement and real estate might just be like an kind of tactical trades. I'm not very constructive on that. But yeah, taking certain specifics from the large caps and the mid caps, I think that is where the more traction would be.
Interesting.
Any of the platform companies or the internet companies, internet companies you would look at? I mean, if you're really looking at winners of 2025.
Right. Not necessarily. See, they are in a good trend, right? But what I'm looking at, possibly getting into a more structural bull market scenarios, and where even the ownership or under ownership will be adding as a tailwind. Yes, names like Eternal, Swiggy's, they have a fair bit of a setup, nothing negative about it. But if I have to choose few with limited amount of funds we have, I would rather stick with some certain sectors only.
Okay. Who is this we you're talking about? Is you limited funds?
It's me here.
Right. Okay. So leave us with top 3 or 4 favorites before we let you go.
Fair. From the large cap infra, my top favorite would be Adani Ports and BHEL from the mid cap 100. From my PSUs, it will be Can Bank and PNB as a basket. So I'm quite confident that these 4 will be the levers. From the IT, it will be LT and Mindtree.
Okay, Manav Chopra there, keeping it straight and simple this morning. Thank you so much for speaking with us. So those are some of the picks that Manav has talked about. Some of the movers today, Dharmesh, we spoke briefly about GAIL.